Refa is actually an acronym. It stands for Revolutionary Educator for Africa. And this was a name that was given to me by some other writers who were, actually my brother, who was a writer as well, who gave me the name. And when you think about hip-hop, a lot of the names that, you know, hip-hop artists would take on are aspirations, names that define who they are, or things that they want to become. So as far as writing is concerned, I'm not exactly sure how much history y'all have on that, but just to give you a real brief one, a lot of people think that it started in New York City. Not so. New York City is where it became and blossomed into what we know it as today. But its original roots come out of Philadelphia. 1965, a brother like me, Cornbread, okay? Check that out, Google it, check him out if you haven't heard of him. Cornbread was one of the first to really put it down. And that writing movement of getting our names out there, our identity, connecting, reconnecting the self. Now, in terms of writing on the wall, we know that goes all the way back to antiquity about how we express ourselves through mural art, all right, ancient Egypt and beyond, okay? So just wanted to give you a little history there. As far as myself, I've been writing here in the Bay Area, one of the West Coast first wave, I can't say necessarily a pioneer, but the first wave of writers in the West Coast. I got started in 1984 in Oakland, East Oakland to be specific. And what got me into writing was seeing writing in New York City. You know, my parents from New York, so we'll go out there on the holidays, see some of the writing on the subways, and it sparked my interest. That's one of the original internets, you could say, of the ghetto. You know, writers putting their names up on the trains. And the reason I'm saying writer instead of graffiti artist is because that's what it is. Graffiti is a name that the media stigmatized us with. You see, it's basically a way of white power saying, F you, what you do culturally doesn't count. So we're going to call it graffiti because that diminishes the value of what it is that you do. Because graffiti is basically without skill, without talent, or a whole bunch of thought even, just going to a surface and scribbling whatever you want, right? But for us, it's cultural. There's a naming process. There's other things that go into it that's rooted in culture, right? There's a connection about how we express ourselves and how we rebel against a system that represses who we are in terms of our identity, what we have to say culturally, things that have been stolen from us, our name, our religion, our culture, our God, our folkways, our mores, and then some, all right? And writing is just one of those elements that is striking back in rebellion, saying, hey, I have a voice, I count, I'm here. And not only that, I want to inspire other people with the beautiful stuff that's coming out of my spirit, whether it be on a train, whether it be on a wall, or whatever. Or whether it's just a rebellious action of just saying, I'm reclaiming this space. So the very people who come out to you and say, well, it's vandalism, are the same people who's putting Clear Channel ads all up in your neighborhood, selling malt liquor and other stuff that you don't need. That's graffiti. Okay, Mount Rushmore, let's talk to the Native American, the indigenous people. That's graffiti. You gonna come and steal the land and put your ugly ass ancestors on the mountain? Right? Without permission? Right? Is that beautiful? I don't think so. So it's really a question of how do we challenge power? You know what I'm saying? And that goes all the way to the top. You know, I heard some of the conversation I was having earlier about Jay-Z, the so-called Mason, going and sitting with the president. Another Mason, not so-called. Check that out. Real talk. All right? Now, why we begging the very people who hate you to do something for you? I'm not going to answer that question. Just think on it. I'm going to leave that one right there.
All right. Question, and I want to direct it to Refa and the writers. With the movies like Wild Style and forget the other one, Star Wars and all that, do you think it captured the essence of where you all are coming from, or do you think that it's the equivalent of, you know, from a rap standpoint when Sugar Hill came out, that it was good but something was missing, that it started the path for commercialism, you know, seeing that you could get the art in the galleries and things like that? Is that a good thing, or is that a bad thing, or how do you see it from your perspective?
I mean, for me personally as a writer, Star Wars probably came the closest. But you have to understand, when you have people outside of your community who are documenting your cultural phenomena and dynamic, they're never going to tell the whole story, you know? And they're always going to tell it from their perspective. Well, here we are studying these black, brown people doing their thing, and this is why they do it. And this is who they are. This is how it goes. So it's always going to be off. You know what I'm saying? These cultural anthropologists have been seeded with white supremacy from day one. I mean, let's be real. That's even institutions like this, San Francisco State, that's what it's all about. At the end of the day, that's what it's all about. Just to crank you out to just be another economic whore, get a job, and, you know, get a PhD or whatever you can get here and probably be slower than you were when you got here. Real talk. Because considering all the graduates we have in the United States in terms of this American Western system, how smart is this society? Think about that. Consider all this technology we got, as far as we've gone with education, how smart is this society? Why is it in the black-brown communities you got more youngsters dying now, literally, physically dying now, since the last time we died this rate was chattel slavery? Fact. Research and investigate. How smart are we now? Okay? I like what my brother said here. See, I heard it, Cash. Right? The scholar before the school. Don't let school ruin your education. And I say the same thing about these documentaries. They're funny. We have to have our own voice, tell our own stories. Other people will come watch you dance and not understand that your movements are to the movements of the stars in the universe, that it's something deeper than you. Okay? I'm just saying, dig it. You got to go way beyond what is offered by the very people who have colonized you. Ain't gonna tell your story? Ain't trying to do that. But there are a few documents that are out there on the subject that I think do it some justice. There's one book by a guy named Victor. It's called Aerosol Kingdom. It's not as an easy book to find, but it's the best book I've seen or read on the subject. There's a second, Ivor Miller, excuse me, is the author. And then there's a second book put out by IGT, along with Phase 2, and it's called Style, Writing from the Underground, Evolutions in Linguistics. These two books usually aren't promoted as much, but they come from the source, and they're dealing with the cultural and spiritual phenomena of where this writing thing comes from. It comes out of struggle. So when you pick up some of these new documentaries, like the one about the Bay Area, piece by piece, but they always leave out the black piece. And so I'm just saying,
that. Thank you.
when I tell you I'm a first generation West Coast writer, it's important for you just to acknowledge that. Now you don't see that in the documentary, straight up and down. And you're not going to see that because they're not dealing with it. They're dealing with form. They're not dealing with essence. Okay? So again, these are folks that have come, paint their face, put your feathers on and do a dance, but they really not down with what you're trying to promote. You know what I'm saying? And that's where, really, honestly for me, that's where hip-hop, supposed hip-hop is today. And I say supposed because real hip-hop comes from a place of consciousness, a place of struggle and understanding. Now my man here said he not a Zulu. I'm a Zulu. Straight up and down. North Star Zulu, Wasset Zulu, Oakland to be specific. Okay? Been down with Zulu Nation since I was 16. I'm almost 40 now. Okay? It's not a game. Hip hop. What does hip mean? Be smart. You up on game. You know what's going on. Somebody asks you what's going on, you can tell them because you didn't study, you didn't check it out. Because if you don't have that, it ain't hip hop. It's drip drop. It's stupid. It's something else. It's not hip. How did we go from the KRS-Ones, Brand Nubians, and even the NWA starting to drop some consciousness with Ice Cube later, and cut his curl, to what we got now? Young people are going to gravitate to the realness because that's who they are. They're going to gravitate to the dreads or the locks because that's who we are culturally. The powers that be are sophisticated. So we got to watch this digital onslaught that's coming too, because they know how to work it and manipulate it. And if they know you're going to naturally gravitate to something positive, well, they're going to give you the other ones. Lil Jon, Lil Wayne, why all these black men little? Think about it. They playing with you, okay? And so for me, I'm passionate about it as a writer because we get out there and put your freedom on the line. That's how deep it is for me. I'm not looking for a record deal, who's going to finance it, and my friends over here. I'm not doing that. Now, if you can get a few resources, to give back to the people and make that thing go, no problem. If getting a spot on the TV and the galleries is going to help you promote that message of liberation and freedom, and you hold your integrity, no problem, but that ain't what it's about. This is about freedom and nothing else. 1965, a brother like me, Cornbread, okay? Check that out, Google it, check him out if you haven't heard of him. Cornbread was one of the first to really put it down, and that writing movement of getting our names out there, our identity, who gave me the name. And when you think about hip-hop, a lot of the names that, you know, hip-hop artists would take on are aspirations, names that define who they are, or things that they want to become. So as far as writing is concerned, I'm not exactly sure how much history. Refa is actually an acronym. It stands for Revolutionary Educator for Africa. And this was a name that was given to me by some other writers who were, actually my brother, who was a writer as well. I'm sure y'all have on that, but just to give you a real brief one, a lot of people think that it started in New York City. Not so. New York City is where it became and blossomed into what we know it as today. But its original roots come out of Philadelphia, reconnecting the self. Now, in terms of writing on the wall, we know that goes all the way back to antiquity, about how we express ourselves through mural art, all right, ancient Egypt and beyond, okay? So just wanted to give you a little history there.